Good evening, morning, noon or night. I hope you're all having a banging day so far, and welcome to my artist's review of the Archer and Olive Beneath the Willows Spring/Autumn collection, depending on what side of the planet you're on. Get comfy, get a sip, and get ready, because I'm about to wave some shiny notebooks in your wonderful faces. Let's do this! Now, if you'd seen my previous video on the Beneath the Willows collection when the blog post first came out, you'd probably already be pretty familiar with what's already come out in it. But to give a recap for those who haven't seen that tiny 6, 10, 12 minute ramble of me going, oh my god guys, I need, here's a, I guess, brief overview of what the collection is. Essentially, the Beneath the Willows collection seems to be very much based on frogs and swans and lakes and ponds this time around, and I have managed to get my hands on the majority of the collection from a variety of different sources. I will be completely upfront, I did not get the one with the reeds on it. It's a beautiful book, yeah, but like, I will be honest, I can't not see it as dead grass. I just can't. I've tried. I don't want the dead grass book. But like, if it appeals to you, absolutely go for it. It seems to have one of the fabric covers from the pictures, so if that appeals to you, absolutely go for it. But I will be honest, that is probably the one book in the collection I won't be showing off today, because I didn't want to get it. So, with that out of the way, let us get into the first shiny notebook on the agenda, which is the absolutely gorgeous vegan leatherette thingamajiggy Swallow's White Shiny Notebook. Now, I'll be honest, out of the entire collection, this was also one I was on the fence for. Like, you'll see as we get further in this video, there were 3 out of this collection that I was really excited for, one which was a really pleasant surprise, and this one I was on the fence for. Now, when I say I'm on the fence for, it's just more it didn't directly appeal to my own personal taste, but it still appealed enough that I did end up cracking in the end, because it's a nice book. And what it is it's this really nice beige vegan leatherette with, like, you know, it's got like a crunchy crunchy is a terrible word, but like, it's got like that leatherette textured kind of cover. It's very buttery smooth. And on the front, it's got this really adorable decal of 2 swallows kind of flying by past a moon and some beautiful sparkles. There's no decals on the side or the back. This is one of Archer's simpler designs, so if you're, I guess, more partial to the simpler designs, this may end up really appealing to you. And when you flip over and look on the inside, the inner cover design is this gorgeous pattern with what looks like little branches, sparkles, and swallows just flying all over the page in a gorgeous gold. I ended up going for A5 because when it comes to notebooks, A5 are just the books that I gravitate towards the most. With Traveler's Notebooks actually coming in a close second. I slightly regret not getting any Traveler's Notebooks this time around, but I knew one was coming out in the sub box. Wink wink, that'll be coming soon. So I kind of ended up figuring I may as well go for the books I use the most, more than start stocking up on a size that, like, is a shelf trophy and nothing else. Now, I'm not going to go into too much detail on my opinion when it comes to the paper and Archer and Olive notebooks, mostly because I've probably, like, waxed poetic a million times by now, because it is the same in every book. Archer is a very reliably standardized brand when it comes to the internal contents of their books. You will always get the exact same amount of pages, unless it's, like, specially noted, so I think it's 196 pages. There will always be the exact same front covers with the book belongs to, blank section to write your name in, and they always have a back pocket as well. But just to give like a brief overview, the Archer and Olive have this really nice cardstocky 160 GSM paper, and with the rounded edges, and like, I'll be honest, like, they can handle a lot of art supplies really, really well. I actually did go ahead and do a test in my daily bujo to really see what they could handle, and trust me when I say, like, with the exception of alcohol markers, which, let's be completely upfront, Nothing can truly handle alcohol markers because they will bleed through air, like they will bleed through anything. That's just what they do. But like I found that even using alcohol markers on Archer paper, it blends really nicely, and just from an artistic perspective, the paper is, you know, it's really good. Like very little stuff actually bleeds through unless it's something like an alcohol marker or a permanent marker like a Sharpie, which allows me to do double page spreads in, like, say, my Bujo, for example, without any issue whatsoever. So, like, honestly, if you're the more artistic type and you like a dot grid, I really would recommend these books, if you're willing to fork out for them, of course. The only, I guess, downside from an artistic perspective specifically is they don't really do blank notebooks that much. Like, they do them occasionally, and one of the books in this collection is a blank notebook, but when they do them, it's in very limited quality, and it almost never makes its way to the resellers either. So, like, they are primarily a dot grid notebook company, and blank notebooks kind of are more of a rarity than a commonality. So if you are looking for a new sketchbook, you may not, I mean, I wouldn't go as far as to saying you may be better looking off elsewhere, but just beware, you may not have as many options here as you would in with other, you know, companies, etc, etc, etc. But if you don't mind having a dot grid, bloody amazing books. 10 out of 10, the guide's fantastic, and the dots aren't so stark that I want to punt myself off a cliff as if I'm playing parkour in Final Fantasy XIV. Now, the next book in the collection can probably best be described as a surprise for us all. And when I say that in a more collective sense, I mean it wasn't actually officially announced with the collection on Archer's website, and that's because this book specifically is reseller only. So I only found out when I was on the Aussie reseller sites, because cough cough, shipping is really expensive from America, and it is not expensive from like a town away, you know what I mean? So of course I try and source from the resellers as much as I can, unless I get FOMO and I jump on the bandwagon. So when I was looking on one of the resources to get the Swallow book, I actually came across this one by chance, and it's it's this really nice, like, green grey, predominantly grey, but there's a very, very slight greenish tint. Just a simple grey buckram, I'd assume buckram fabric notebook, and all it is just a simple grey notebook with a stamp of a mushroom on it. And I really like it. Like, I don't know, like, yes, if the one with the reeds looks like dead grass, this one, like, the colour of the notebook does make me think of mud. But, like, there's just something about it which just works in my brain. Like, I don't know, just this particular shade of, like, grey with that very slight green undertone with the mushrooms on top, it just really gives me that kind of cottagecore fairy tale toadstool vibe, which is, like, a bit of a no-shit scenario. But, like, yeah. And it's, you know, it's very simplistic. It's just two mushrooms on a grey fabric background. There's no decals on the side or the back. This is another one of those simplistic ones. And when you flip it open, the inner pattern is just mushrooms, dots, bits of grass, and branches in a nice gold foiling going all the way up and down. And as well, to add a little bit of an extra fun fact as well, even though at first glance it will look identical to the inner cover of the Frog notebook, I will show it on the screen now, you will actually see that they're actually different. So credit to Archer and Olive, they really could have gotten away with just having the exact same inner page on both, but they bothered to redraw a new one for the mushroom book, even though the pattern is incredibly similar, and I really like that. Like, I'll be honest, I'm an artist, so, like, being able to spot the difference is kind of supposed to be one of my skill sets. And at first, I genuinely thought it was the same pattern in both, and it wasn't until I opened the books side by side, I was pleasantly surprised to see that the pattern is actually different. So I think that's just a really cool fun fact. But yeah, so as a heads up with this particular notebook, you will only find it in resellers. I personally got it from Paper Cougar, but I do know that Washer Gang as well, because these are two Australian resellers, they also have it. I can't really speak for overseas resellers, because I don't really look into them because the shipping usually is just as brutal there as it is from Archer itself. I definitely, if you're interested in this one in particular, look at the resellers, and I'll actually post a link in the description to the page on Archer and Olive's website where they list all of their official resellers. Have a look through the list. There is a very good chance that the one near you may end up having this particular book. Otherwise, you might have to get it from Australia. I can't speak for other countries. But yeah, so that is the really cute mushroom dot notebook, because being the reseller copy, it didn't exactly have the most insane name attached to it. Moving on! And since I basically brought it up already to compare the inner page with the mushroom book from the reseller set, let's bring up one of my two favourite books from the collection, and that's the nice dark green, buttery smooth leather vibe dibs'd Froggy notebook. It's the Mushroom Monarch, that's the official name of the book, and it just feels nice. Like, it has the same texture that my Northern Lights Daily Bujo has, and it just feels really nice. Like, it's got that, like, it's like if the, I suppose if the Swallow one has more that, like, rougher, leathery style texture, this has that buttery, smooth, leathery style texture. So the fingertip feel is slightly different. And yeah, it's another simplistic, like, when I say it's another simplistic design, it's not in the same vein as the others, but I mean more in the sense that there's nothing on the spine, there's nothing on the back, the picture is only on the front, so it's not a full cover design, it's just the front design, and what it is just a picture of a dibs'd picture of a mushroom, like a couple of mushrooms with a frog sitting on top, with some ferns and reeds and different plants and sparkles in the background, and little Frogger dude is just chilling. He's just chilling and he's having a great day. And like, one thing I do really like about specifically, I guess, like this vegan leather texture that Archer goes with, is it debosses like really nicely. Like, when it comes to Archer books, my absolute favorite books are always the incredibly detailed covers, the ones that have debossing and gold foil or silver foil, etc., foil stamping, both incorporated into the design, and it ends up having this incredibly cool tritone effect, and that's why I'm absolutely a complete sucker for those incredibly detailed notebooks that they create. And it mostly just comes down to the debossing on the, I guess, like the specific material they use on their, I guess, vegan leathery style books brings a much darker shade. So like, no matter what angle you look at, whether the light's with you or against you, you can still very clearly see the picture, even though it's not printed on, it's just smushed on, for lack of a better description. And of course, to flip it over and look on the inside, as I was saying with the previous reseller-only Mushrooms dot book, with the Monarch book, the inner page is similar in that it's mushrooms, plants, sparkles, and it's just kind of a repeating pattern down the page. But whereas I guess like the reseller-only one is more, I guess like a more textured mushroom? I can't think of a better descriptor, but like it looks a bit more textured, it's a bit bumpier. The mushrooms on the inner page of the Mushroom Monarch book are a little bit more cartoony. Like they haven't got like the toadstool vibe. They are very much closer to mushroom than toadstool, if that makes sense. I speak as if I know anything about mushrooms. I don't, by the way. But yeah, and it's just this lovely gold foil pattern just repeating down the page with some clover leaves mixed in. I think it's incredibly cute, and this was one of my 3 favorite notebooks in my collection. I'd say it's probably a solid number 3. Like, it's in 3rd place, but like, it was a very tough, like, if I had to rank them, it would be like 3rd, but like it missed by like half a point kind of 3rd. But like, it is easily one of my favorite books in the collection, and I think it's really neat. Now, this next book is the one that I can say without shadow of a doubt I was the most excited about. This here is the Swan Pond Dockred Notebook. 8.5 like all of the others, though slightly regretting not getting it in a Traveller, but at the same time, I don't know, I'm quite content just having one copy of this one. But yeah, this is the Swan Pond Notebook, and this is, I guess, like their hit piece, their showpiece in the collection. Like, this is the detailed notebook of the group. I've noticed that Archer, when they release collections, they usually will have one detailed notebook, and then the rest would be simpler designs. It'd probably be like one like the Froggo, which would be like a bit more detail than the others, but still on the simpler edge. But there's usually like one showstopper, and the rest are like really sick backup dancers, you know what I mean? And in this case, the showstopper is without a doubt the Swan Pond notebook. And I'll admit, this notebook, I think it's really cool because it's the first notebook I've seen them do that I wouldn't call this like a pattern. I'd just call this an artwork, period. Like this, like all of their other books, like they have like really cool patterns that give like very Victorian-esque, etc. vibes. But this is just, it's just an illustration, like period. Like this is an illustration made using gold foil stamping and debossing, and it really works. I think it's really cool, and it's the notebook out of the whole collection that made me immediately go, I want that. Like, it's really cool. I love how it's got like the gold. The gold is really used to bring out the lighter colors in the scene, whereas the debossing is used to bring out the darker colors, and it helps bring the sense of depth. And the artist in me is just very chuffed with the work, because whoever created this illustration did a really freaking good job, and their balance of color is really, really good. Especially going with this beautiful, like, very dark, cold green as well. Like, I love myself, like, anything with a bluish tone. That's, like, my weakness. Anything blue, and anything with a blue-ish tone. So basically cold colors. I love cold colors. And this one, like, I love the cold green it went with, because it just really jingled my tingles, so to speak. On the side of this one, unlike the other ones, there is a small decal, though I do like how, unlike all of like the really detailed ones, this decal only goes up just under half of the spine width. Like, though like on different sizes it might be different lengths, but like on the A5 it's just under half of the size. Like, I'd say like probably like 60%, to throw an arbitrary number out there, of the spine is still blank. And I'll be honest, like, I love me a detailed spine, don't get me wrong. I genuinely love me a detailed spine, but I've noticed a habit of mine in particular is when I guess use a notebook, like once I've assigned a purpose to a notebook, I will actually write on the spine, using my metallic markers, the name of the notebook. So like, if it's the Japanese notebook, I've got Nihongo written in kanji on it. If it's like my Daily Bujo, I've got Daily Bujo written on it, like in a pseudo font. Like, I try and make it look nice, but I've noticed a habit of mine is when I'm using a book, I will write what it is on the spine, because then it's easy to know what it is when you look at the shelf. So having this space is actually really appealing to me. Like, I would be very happy it was a fully detailed spine, but the space is really appealing because I know that when I do eventually use this notebook, I'm not going to really have any trouble being able to put the purpose on it. So like, if I use this as a Daily Bujo, I can just write Daily Bujo on it, and there's actually room to put it. I'm not just kind of hoping I remember what the spine is for eternity. So whoever's idea was that, like, credit to you. Like, yeah, like, not everyone does that. Like, a lot of people just leave their spines blank. But as someone who likes to graffiti the spines of their shiny notebooks, I really appreciate the blank space. Thank you, Aster. That's a really cool move. The back of the notebook is blank, as a heads up as well, so it's just a front cover and a partial spine design, but it still looks really cool. And once you flip open the book to get on the inside, the inner pattern is this really lovely lily pad Swandon reed pattern that's just going down the page. It's probably not my favourite ever inner cover pattern I've ever seen Archer do, to sound painfully critical, but like, it is a lovely pattern and it fits the outside of the book perfectly well. It's just clear they've taken the drawing of the swan, they've put it on the inside, they've flipped it, and then they've just scattered other decals around to just give it some life. And I love that they went with a gold as well to match the outer cover. And finally, a rare release from Archer and a standout in this collection as well. One of my favourites. I'd say that this is probably my favourite book out of the whole collection, and that's just because of the utility behind it, and that is the lovely Lilies Heirloom letter size notebook. And the reason for that is pretty simple. It's an art book. Like, yeah, okay, it's probably not like originally intended for an art book, but by that I mean it comes in blank. Like, this one had a blank option. It's one of the rare Archer books that do. I've noticed that when they do their heirloom books, and they seem to only really do one a year in the spring collection, because I think last year the heirloom book was also spring in Attic Treasures, and it also had blank as well, and I've got that one. But like the difference between beyond everything, no duh. The big difference though between the lovely Lilies Heirloom book and last year's Heirloom book that I'm actually really, really liking is the fact that this one is horizontal. Because like the other Heirloom book is vertical, so basically it feels like a big A4 book, basically. So you need a lot more space to use it, I guess is a good way to put it. But because the Heirloom book this time around, the lovely Lily ones, is horizontal, it doesn't take as much vertical space, and as someone who doesn't have a lot of vertical space on my computer desk, I cannot use my big Heirloom book on my PC desk. I have to use it on my art desk or else. But I can use this one because there's just enough space to shove an A5 book on my table. When you're shoving everything back, like my poor PC desk is very overcrowded. And so that automatically bumps up the, I guess, utility of this book by like 1,000,000. Because I'm far more likely to use it if I can use it in the place I'm the most comfortable using. But yeah, so this is as well a full cover design, unlike the others. So it's got this really lovely lily border-like pattern going around the edges of the front and back of the book. One thing I do really like is the center is blank, so if you're the type of person where you like to graffiti your covers and put the title of the book on the front, there is the perfect place to put like my art book, or fun memories, or pictures of people I hate, or burn book, or whatever you want. Anime doodles, roasts of terrible pictures, like, no matter what it is, there is space to put a title there if you want to, but it looks perfectly fine without it as well. It doesn't look like it needs a title, just that it would not hinder it either. The spine pattern is the same lily pattern going up and down. It's a full spine pattern. I think it's absolutely lovely. It is it's a very I think it's that buckramy, cottony texture. It is a fabric cover, as a heads up as well. So for those who prefer your leatherette covers, unfortunately this one is a fabric cover, and it feels like it's I think it's like it's a stamping, like it's not foil stamping, but like the pattern on the front is stamped down with like a slightly shiny substance. Like whenever they use it, it's slightly shiny, but like it is not metallic, and it's just this really lovely, like, I guess like it looks like a really light green, like a really light muted green to match the minty light green that is the color of this notebook. When you flip it open, the first thing you will absolutely notice is the inner page, and I will be honest, it is very loud. I like a bit of blank space in my patterns just in general, and this pattern, it is a lovely pattern, do not get me wrong, but pretty much everything connects to itself. And it's one of those patterns where if you look at from a distance, you are going to have no idea what you're looking at. It is a very noisy pattern, but it is still just like simply just, lilies kind of traveling up the page with different branches and stuff filling in the white space. I think it's mostly as well is it is entirely line art with the exception of like one type of the branch moving up. So I think it's just more the use of gold and white is relatively, I wouldn't go as far as to say exactly equal, but relatively equal, so it does kind of blur in your eyes from a distance. But that is like the tiniest criticism in the absolute world, because that is by far overshadowed by the fact that this is a giant blank paged shiny notebook using 160 GSM borderline cardstock paper. So the artist in me absolutely is intending to have a field day with this thing. I could easily see myself using this for a multitude of mediums, be it watercolor, pencil, alcohol marker, just random doodling. I don't know what exactly I'll use this for, but I absolutely would be using this as an art book personally. It's good vibes. And I guess on top as well, though I sincerely doubt I will use this feature, it does have the back pocket in the back, and the back pocket follows the usual, I guess like Archer and Olive pattern of back pockets, in that the opening is on the side. So usually in the back pocket what you do is you flip to the back and you'll see to take advantage of the space, generally the opening of the pocket will be vertical, so it'll be on the side, so that you can have like that horizontal pocket space to put it in. The horizontal book follows this same pattern, which means you've just got one really, really long, deep pocket with like the openings on the inner side of the page. Like, I will be honest, I do slightly wish that like they'd flipped it and had the opening facing the top of the book, just because this is a really long horizontal letter size book. But like, if you like yourself a deep pocket, you're gonna be very happy when you flip to the back of this book. But I almost never use pockets on art books, so like, I don't think I'm going to even care at all when I start using it that it is a deep pocket in the slightest. And finally, this is not a part of the Beneath the Willows collection, but it is something that was re-released when it came out, and something I just had to snag because I love their little notepads so much. They are so handy and so cute. And that is this cute little pastel notepad they re-released when they dropped the collection. It's got 6 different colours of pages, so we've got a pink, an orange, a yellow, green, blue and purple, and just, it's dot grid paper, but like, coloured, which means that if I ever want to do like colour rip things like I did in my last Bujo spread, I can just use this and it will match it perfectly. Of course, the obvious downside is the fact that every single one of these pages is 160 GSM, which means if you say layer them up in the same way that I did in my March Bujo spread, your book gets real fat real quick. But that's okay, that's what the strap is for. But like, yeah, seriously though, like, having these colored pages is always really handy just because it's really good for arts and crafts, and also it's just, you know, good note paper. It's perforated, so like you can just scribble on it. It's good for pen testing, etc. And yeah, I don't know, whenever Archer releases a notepad, I want it, I need it for no reason. It's a guilty pleasure, I guess. It's something that like my brain's like, I need that, I'm gonna use that, that's so useful. And so whenever they drop the really cool notepads, I always want to get them. So I'm just really happy I got the pastel notepad, and now I have 2 Archer notepads. Gonna catch them all. So like, if there's anyone from Archer watching this video and you really want to know if anyone gives a hoot about your notepads, I do. I give a hoot. Can you please release more notepads, please? And blank notebooks. Thank you. Mwah, mwah, mwah. But yeah, thank you so much for joining me today as I ramble on about my favourite shiny notebooks again. Cough, cough. But if any of the notebooks in this video do interest you, I really urge you to check them out. Like, Archer's books, they're not the cheapest notebooks in the world. Absolutely not. This is 100% not a necessity, it's a luxury. Don't get them if you can't afford them. But if any of them do stand out to you and you aren't going to be nerfed if you go for them, I'd recommend having a look. They do incredibly cool, high-quality notebooks. And if you're just looking for a new book to scribble in because your old book died, I'd really recommend giving them a look. They've got some cool stuff. And that's coming from me, Mr. Hyperfocus. But yeah, if you enjoyed this video, feel free to give it a cheeky little like and subscribe. And if you want to let me know that you exist, feel free to drop a cheeky dad joke in the comments, because I guarantee that I will laugh. May you have a brilliant rest of your time zones. Thank you once again for watching this video, and my next video will be on the Archer and Olive March sub-box because it's sitting on my desk, and I am very, very eager to crack that thing open like a cold one with the boys. Ciao for now and not forever, and this is the Notebook Dragon signing out. Ha 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 ha!